She's like a sickness in my brain, a vision standing by the window pane. She ripples through the blinds and leaves me in a daze. It's in the way her body moves me, the way she grabs me and intoxicates, until the signals in my mind forget to operate.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Coffee and True Crime Time. I'm so excited to get into this because it's been a little while since I've filmed or posted a Coffee and True Crime, so I miss it. I know I look absolutely like a hot mess. I understand, I get it. But I did just get back from the gym and I threw some makeup on so I could record because I only have a very short time to record these Coffee and Crime Time segments because I have to do it when Bella's sleeping. So that is why my hair is frizzy and it's in this messy bun, and it's not one of those messy buns where you're like, oh, let me look like I put no effort into this bun, but actually put a ton of effort into the bun. I put no effort into this bun. I put my hair up like this to wash my face and then I left it that way. I know everybody wanted me to talk about The Act, which is the show on Hulu about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, and I thought it was a docuseries, so I started watching it and I was like, oh, this isn't a docuseries. This is like a dramatic retelling, you know, it's a show based on true events. And since I'm not really familiar enough with the case at hand, I know the basics, but I haven't gone really deep into that case, I didn't want to start off with The Act. I wanted to, actually research the case and know about it, not just the story that's based on true events. So I'm going to probably do research into that case, and I'll probably end up doing a whole video on the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case. So if any of you have recommendations for good documentaries, factual things that I can watch or look into that concern that case, please send them over. I know a couple of you already have, so I really appreciate that. And look for that in the future. I've also started the Adnan Syed docuseries that's on HBO. So I'm about halfway through the first episode, but obviously not deep enough into it to talk about it during Coffee and Crime Time. But so far, I actually really like it. That was a case I was very into a couple years ago, so I'm excited to watch it and discuss it with you guys when the time is right. Today, we're going to be talking about a couple of things that are going on in current events. The first topic I want to discuss concerns two things that are very close to my heart: makeup and YouTube. But it also concerns crime because a crime was committed. So I'm not sure how familiar everyone who is watching this video is with Jeffree Star, who is one of the biggest beauty YouTubers, if not the biggest beauty YouTubers on YouTube. But recently he was the victim of a crime that's turned into this bigger thing. And a couple of weeks ago, Jeffree Star, who vlogs about makeup, but also has his own makeup line, which is some of my favorite makeup to use. I honestly think that Jeffree Star makes some of the best makeup out there. I love his eyeshadows. I love his velour liquid lipsticks. Basically, those liquid lipsticks are the best lipsticks ever. But a couple of weeks ago, he was announcing his new Blue Bloods line, which was an eyeshadow palette and some new highlighters and some new lipsticks. And he announced that he was releasing it on March 15th in a YouTube video. And that very same night, his warehouse, or one of his warehouses that has all the product in it, getting it ready to ship out to where it needs to go, that warehouse was robbed. According to Jeffree, it was a very professional kind of hit. They came in through the ceiling. I can see this playing out in my head, even though I'm sure it's not the way it went, but I just see a bunch of people dressed in black, crawling up on the roof, breaking in through the roof, maybe glass windows in the roof, and then dropping in on these ropes, being very careful to avoid the laser beams. There's no laser beams. I'm kidding, it's what I see. This sort of Ocean's 11, we're gonna rob the vault kind of thing. And they did. They stole a bunch of makeup. They stole $2.5 million worth of makeup. The real issue, and obviously this is a real issue no matter what, but something they took, which I think in the end would end up being their downfall was a massive amount of Jeffree Star's concealer, Magic Star Concealer. Why this was a problem for them was because that concealer had been announced, sort of, that it was coming out. Like, everybody knew it was coming out because it's been anticipated, but it hadn't been released yet. It hadn't come out yet. So nobody really knew anything about it, and they took a crap load of this concealer in only one shade for some reason. Probably they didn't really know what they were doing. They just grabbed whatever they could, but they took quite a bit of this concealer. So Jeffree knew he got broken into. This happened on a Friday night, and by Monday morning, when everybody got to the warehouse to open up, they realized that, they'd been broken into, and now he's faced with having to track down these people. And it's really not going to be that difficult because people sell these things online. And this is pretty common, actually. And I don't usually have a problem with it. Like, people will go to TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and they'll get, high-end makeup that's being sold at a discounted rate there, like ABH stuff or Too Faced stuff. And then they'll sell it on like Mercari, Poshmark. There's a couple other sites. They'll sell it for more than they bought it for. And they make a profit doing this. It's reselling. And in that case, it's really not an issue. Some people think it's still sketchy, but in my opinion, if you're going to spend your time and effort and energy to go to a store and buy up a bunch of crap, and somebody else wants to buy it and spend their money on it, then that's their prerogative. They don't have to pay more for it than you did. They are choosing to. In this case, though, you're talking about a bunch of stolen products. Stolen makeup is a completely different thing, and then that's obviously when the legal implications come in, because this warehouse was robbed in what seemed to be a professional and organized kind of robbery. And now the people that orchestrated this and stole all this product, they're now passing it out to other people who are selling it online. And I have to wonder if the people who took it and then the people who sold it were either just stupid or didn't care or didn't think they were going to get caught. Because it's one thing if you're selling stolen products that have already been released and you could have bought and resold. It would be harder to pin that on you if the products have already been released. But the fact that the concealer had not been released but then was being posted online for sale, basically shone a spotlight on these people who were involved, because at this point, this concealer's not out for purchase yet, so you couldn't have purchased this and resold it. The only way you got this was either by stealing it or buying it from somebody who had stolen it, so it becomes a big issue. So apparently the burglars who came in through the warehouse's roof, they made off with thousands of boxes of products, including the Platinum Ice Pro palette, the Northern Lights Supreme Frost Pro palette, and various shades of the velour lip liner. And then obviously the concealer, which was the big issue here. Now, Jeffree Star, obviously he was insured, so it's not gonna be that big of a hit financially to him. And he's working with the FBI to track these people down. He thinks the people who did it are part of a black market makeup selling ring, because essentially Anastasia Beverly Hills also had an issue with this in the past, and $4.5 million worth of their products were stolen. Now, obviously, like I said, these people must not have been that smart, because as soon as Jeffree realized he was robbed and what was taken, he's got people looking on the internet at these sites where people resell makeup to see when his concealers would pop up. And they did pop up. There was some posts in the Facebook Marketplace where the concealer was being sold, and you could see the girl was holding it in her hand, and it was just so blatant. And I have to just sit here and say, did they not think that they were going to get caught, that this wouldn't be tracked back to them? Did they not know that the concealer hadn't been released yet? That's the only thing that I can think of, is that maybe they thought this concealer was already out, so it would be harder to track them down, but the concealer wasn't already out. So either they don't know enough about Jeffree Star and his makeup products, or they're just not very smart. I believe they have somebody in jail who's not like the main person who orchestrated it, but has been distributing it to other people who are now selling it. But hopefully this person gives them some more information about where she got the makeup to begin with, and hopefully it leads them to the top. And he's trying to recover most of these products, but he's probably not going to recover all of them. Besides this being a legal issue, in my opinion, it's just messed up in general, because Jeffree Star has been working on these concealers for quite a while while, and now he's kind of had the rug taken out from under him as far as releasing the makeup. It's already been released. It's being sold illegally. There's going to be people out there who have it in their possession before he was even able to make a video about it or release it on his own terms in his own way. And that's it's wrong, because to some of you, it might just be makeup, and it is just makeup. However, that's his job, that's his brand, that's his baby. This is something that he's put a lot of time, effort, and money into. And it should be his right and his honor to release it and announce it in the way he wanted to, on his terms. And somebody took that away from him. And it's just a sad situation when somebody actually is pouring their heart and soul, their time, their energy, their resources into formulating something that they're proud of, that they can't wait to share with their fans and their customers. And something like this has to happen, where not only are you robbed, but now the thing that you've been so excited about, so excited to release and to share, is just thrown out there in such a scummy and greasy way. And it takes a little bit of the wind out of your sails. Hopefully he gets to the bottom of it, and hopefully we get more information about this black market makeup selling thing, because I'm interested. Let's move on to Jussie Smollett. So hold on, I have to get more coffee. I actually completely forgot that I'd gotten Starbucks after the gym, and I drank half of it, and then I put it in the microwave to warm it up, and then I left it in the microwave and I forgot about it. Yay! It's like finding money in your pocket. So I have to feel like by now everybody's familiar with the whole Jussie Smollett thing. So Jussie Smollett, he said he was attacked, basically. And he said that preceding this attack on January 22nd, he received a threatening letter which was sent to the Fox studio where Empire's filmed. In case anybody's not up to date or doesn't know about this case, or doesn't know who Jussie Smollett is or what Empire is, that's the show he's on. Empire's a great show. I love it. Cookie Lion is my spirit animal. But he plays on this show, and Empire's filmed at Fox Studio, and he received a threatening letter basically containing threats and laced with a powdery substance that investigators believe to be crushed up Tylenol. Then, not even a week later, on January 29th, around 2 a.m. near his apartment in Chicago, Jussie says he was allegedly attacked by two masked assailants who poured an unknown chemical substance on him, which was thought to have been bleach, wrapped a rope around his neck, and yelled at him, "This is MAGA country." On January 31st, Smollett's family released a very emotional statement about how the attack was clearly racist and hate-filled. And they literally say, "We want to be clear, this is a racial and homophobic hate crime." Now, when this all went down, I was enraged. I couldn't believe that something like that could happen to somebody just walking on the street in their hometown, minding their own business. I tweeted out in, outrage, how could this happen? I hope he's okay, sending my thoughts, because like I said, I love Empire. I loved Jussie's character on the show. He's very talented, a very good voice. It bothered me. And myself, like many others in the days following, would end up feeling foolish about our initial reaction to defend and protect Jussie Smollett. Then on February 4th, the Chicago police released the initial incident report about the alleged attack. And the report revealed that Jussie was initially reluctant to report the attack. It also stated that when the police came to Jussie's apartment to take his statement of what happened, he was still wearing the rope around his neck. People started to say, this is odd. So he goes to Subway at 2 a.m. in February. It's freezing in Chicago, right? It's freezing. It's the windy city. Chicago is cold. And at 2 a.m. on a February morning, it's extremely cold. So he leaves his apartment. He's hungry. He wants to get a sub from Subway. And in my opinion, a Subway sandwich isn't going to be enough motivation to get me out of my cozy apartment at 2 a.m. But for Jussie, apparently it was. He goes to Subway, he leaves Subway, he's walking back to his apartment, and then, these people attacked him and they were yelling racial and homophobic slurs at him. They put the rope around his neck. He went back home to his apartment where he kept the rope on his neck. On February 13th, the Chicago police took 2 suspects into custody at the airport. They were 2 men from Nigeria who had left the country after the attack and were coming back to Chicago on February 13th. The police had been tracking them for a while, knew about them, and basically showed up at the airport when they got back into town. On February 14th, Jussie does an interview with Good Morning America. He says he's upset and hurt that people are questioning his story, that people think he has changed his story, that he's adding little details in as he goes because that's not what happened. And, basically he plays the victim. It also came out in the interview that he didn't want to give the police his phone because he claims that he has private pictures and videos and numbers. My partner's number, my family's number, my castmate's number, my friend's number, my private emails, my private songs, my private voice memos. Okay, I get it. Like, I private stuff on my phone too, don't we all? However, you're talking about the police. You're a victim of a crime, right? You're playing the victim, you're a victim of a crime. And you want this crime to be solved. You want the people who attacked you maliciously and without any provocation to be brought to justice. But you don't want to cooperate with the investigation in every way possible by giving the police your phone. What are the police going to do with your phone and your private voice memos and your private songs and, your castmates' phone numbers? Do you really see the Chicago police sitting together in the Situation Room, giggling like schoolgirls with your cell phone and saying, hey, we got Terrence Howard's phone number, man? Oh my God, let's prank call Lucius Lyon. So by February 15th, the 2 suspects are under arrest, and it's released that they had a relationship with Jussie Smollett. By February 17th, these 2 suspects, who were brothers from Nigeria, they basically turned on Jussie. And they said that he had paid them to help him orchestrate and stage the crime. They had surveillance footage of these guys on camera, like buying the rope, and basically the police were like, listen, we got you for this crime, so is there anything you want to tell us? And they were like, yeah, we're about to turn on this kid. Apparently, the whole reason that they staged this attack was because Jussie was upset that the threatening letter that had been sent to him at Fox Studios wasn't getting enough attention and wasn't being dealt with, so he thought he had to do something even more spectacular and public in order to get the incident the attention it deserved. It even came out that Jussie had written the brothers a check with his own name on it, a check. It was a $3,500 check, and in the memo line it says 5-week nutrition workout program. So the lawyers of these 2 brothers say that the money paid to them was for them to help him get into shape and basically personal training. But the Chicago police believe it was in fact payment to the brothers to have them help him set up this whole fake attack. So then it was this huge shitstorm. Everybody was pissed that he had orchestrated this whole thing. He'd set up this fake attack. He basically introduced an element into a society that's already racially charged, that already has so much hate in it, and already has enough real things happening. And he made up this fake thing, which might detract attention from the real issues at hand. And people were mad. And I actually put something on Twitter, I think it was yesterday, and I just wanted to see how everybody's feeling about the whole Jussie Smollett thing. Is there any support out there for him at all? And it doesn't really appear that there is. He was charged initially with 16 counts of felony disorderly conduct for filing a false report. And everybody thought, okay, this is it. This kid's in trouble. But then, in a completely surprising turn of events at the end of last month, all the charges were dropped. Allegedly, the prosecutor's office met with Jussie secretly. The police didn't know about it, and they came to some kind of deal where all he had to do was forfeit his $10,000 bond that he'd already paid and do some community service, which allegedly he'd already done, and he was free. No charges, nothing. And the police department and the mayor, they were not happy about this because they had literally done so much overtime and looked into this case as if it was a real crime, only to find out that it was completely made up. And that made them upset. That made them feel like they were pawns in his game. So the police department was really upset with the prosecutor's office for dropping these charges. They were not happy about it, and they were vocal about not being happy about it. Anybody who looks at this case and what happened can pretty much logically see that it wasn't a real attack. It was probably set up. Now, do we know that for sure? Of course not. But you have all the evidence pointing to the fact that Smollett lied, made this up, kept lying, and now has somehow gotten off completely scot-free. Another thing that bothered a lot of people was because one of the prosecutors, Kim Fox, she apparently was supposed to recuse herself from the case because she had had some contact with Jussie Smollett's family via some texts, and she didn't end up recusing herself from the case, and then his charges were dropped. So that looked kind of suspicious to everybody who has eyes and a brain. But, she says nothing nefarious happened. Everybody involved says nothing nefarious happened. However, the records have been sealed, so nobody can see them. We'll never know what happened unless somebody can get them unsealed, which is probably not going to happen since the powers that be wish whatever happened in that meeting between Jussie and the prosecutor's office to be kept a secret. There was some other crazy stuff, like an aide of Michelle Obama's had ended up calling the prosecutor's office, and we don't obviously know why that call was made or what exactly was said on that call, but some people believe it was basically a call that was like, make this go away. And then an email was revealed from Kim Fox's office where she was asking her assistant state attorneys to dig for examples to bolster her claims that the dropped charges weren't as uncommon as they seem. So basically, she's saying, find other cases like this where stuff like this happened and charges were dropped so that we can cite these as examples. When people say, this is unheard of, we can say, it's not unheard of. Here's a list of other occurrences where this happened. It's not uncommon at all. Now, apparently, the police department and the city of Chicago want to sue Jussie in a civil case for $130,000, which is apparently what it cost for all the overtime they put in. And even though the mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, he seems pissed off about the whole situation, like Jussie lying and all of that, allegedly Jussie lying, he also made a statement a couple of days ago that I found incredibly disturbing, where he said the only reason Jussie Smollett felt like he could get away with something like this was because of the environment and the atmosphere that Donald Trump has created in this country. And that's a cop-out. I don't talk politics. I don't like to talk politics. I don't want to ever release any of my political beliefs because that's a recipe for disaster. But no matter how I feel about the President of the United States, you cannot possibly take the actions of one man who lied, orchestrated a scheme to get a raise at work, because that's pretty much why he did it. He did it to get a raise because he wasn't getting paid enough for his role on Empire. You can't take that and say it's because the president is a racist, or it's because the president creates an environment of intolerance in our country. That is the biggest cop-out, and it's literally not holding people accountable for their own actions, because then at this point, you can take anything that happens. Oh, I go out and attack somebody. I did it because I felt as a woman I'm not tolerated in this country because of the way President Trump's made me feel. So now I'm going to go attack somebody, and it's not my fault. It's Trump's fault because he created this environment where I felt like I could get away with it. It's a cop-out. It's disgusting. Jussie Smollett's a grown man. He can't start pointing fingers and blaming the system or the country for why he did what he did, because it was wrong. It was a lie. You lied to law enforcement. You wasted their time. And when you got caught, you continued to lie. He's lying even to this day. He said something like, I wouldn't be my mother's son if I was guilty of a fraction of what they're accusing me of being guilty of. I don't even know what that means. Guys, I don't even know what that means. I wouldn't be my mother's son. Why? Did your mother raise you right to not lie, to tell the truth, and to do the right thing? That's great. I'm sure she did. However, you as an adult have taken things into your own hands and clearly ignored the upbringing that your mother gave you. And it seems like in the entertainment industry, feelings might be split on whether to support Jussie or not. At the recent NAACP Awards, where Jussie was nominated for an award, but he didn't show up, People seem to feel differently. Chris Rock, even though he was told to not make any jokes about the Jussie Smollett case, why he would be told that is ridiculous. Is this not America? Do we not have freedom of speech? Can we not make jokes about current events? Even though he was told not to make jokes, he still did. Good for him. But then Anthony Anderson came out and said, I hope to see him here. I hope he wins. I'm happy for him that the system worked for him in his favor because the system isn't always fair, especially for people of color. Okay, so that's true. The system is not always fair, especially for people of color. But how does him lying, committing a crime, and getting away with it show that the system is fair for people of color? If you want an equal system for all people, then you have to hold all people to the same standards. And if you're letting someone get away with something and then turning around and saying, the system worked in his favor. You're not telling me that the system's fair. You're telling me that the system worked in his favor, even though it wasn't fair. But that's all for today. Let me know what you guys think about the whole Jeffree Star makeup theft incident. Let me know what you think about Jussie Smollett. I'm very interested to know because I really do want to get a bigger kind of poll on whether people are supporting him or not, if there's people out there who are supporting him, and if you are, why. Thank you for having coffee with me today. And if you haven't gotten your new merch yet, head over to the Sleuthany shop. I will link it in the description box. I have 2 new shirts out, the Allegedly one and then the Stay Kind and Stay Beautiful one, and they're really cute. So if you want them, go check them out. Stay kind and stay beautiful, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.
She just comes and goes, you know, and